Hey everyone, welcome to the very first episode of Real Talk. I'm Kevin, and I am so ready to dive into some seriously good TV with all of you.
And I'm Jenny. It's getting chilly out there. I'm already bundled up in my favorite pink sweatshirt.
Yeah, it's definitely feeling like autumn. And you know what pairs perfectly with cozy nights?
What's that?
A show that's equal parts chilling and thought-provoking. So for our very first dupe dive, we're tackling Sweetpea. It's that new Sky Atlantic series. You know, the one based on C.J. Skeese's Thriller.
Oh yeah, great pick for a first episode. This show is dark. It's not your typical thriller.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
On the surface, you got Rhiannon. She seems like an ordinary young woman just trying to make it through life, you know. But underneath,
What's she hiding?
let's just say she's harboring some pretty intense fantasies.
Mm.
And a hunger for revenge that had me hooked from the very first episode.
Right. It really makes you wonder about people. Like, who around you might secretly be harboring a kill list?
Okay, but the kill list is where the show's dark humor really comes out. I mean, she's got serious offenses right there next to everyday annoyances.
Like what?
Like the coworker who microwaves fish in the break room. It's twisted, but you gotta admit, there's something kind of funny about it, right?
Totally. It's that dark humor mixed with the genuine suspense that makes Sweetpea so unique. You find yourself laughing one minute and then completely horrified the next. And you're constantly questioning your own reactions to Rhiannon and what she does.
Exactly. And she's such a compelling character because she's not your typical villain. She's complex. On one hand, she's doing these awful things.
Yeah, but on the other hand,
On the other hand, the show makes you understand, maybe even empathize with her rage and what drives her.
yeah, it's like shows like Dexter or Killing Eve, where the main character is really messed up, even monstrous, but you find yourself rooting for them.
Right. So interesting how that happens.
What makes Rhiannon different, though, is how normal she seems. Her struggles with work and relationships and expectations. I don't think those other shows really capture that the same way.
They're so true. She seems like this totally average woman pushed to the edge. And the show does such a great job of slowly revealing what's going on in her head.
All the trauma and toxic relationships that made her who she is.
And that's what makes the show's exploration of the why so fascinating.
It's not just about the violence.
Right. It's about understanding everything that leads someone down such a dark path.
Yeah.
Like in the very first episode, what was it called? Sorry for your loss.
Yeah, that's the one.
We see her dealing with her terminally ill father and a frustrating coworker. And then her high school bully, Julia, comes back into her life.
Whoa, that's a lot.
That's a lot for anyone to handle.
It really shows how much pressure society puts on women. Rhiannon feels unseen, unheard, like she's constantly being undermined.
And she feels like the only way to take back her power is through revenge. Which brings us to one of the main questions the show asks. Is Rhiannon justified? Is she a villain? An anti-hero? Something in between? What do you think?
That's the beauty of Sweetpea, right? It doesn't give you any easy answers. It makes you, the viewer, think about morality and how far you'd go if you were pushed. Like, remember that list she keeps?
Yeah.
It makes you think about what's on your own list and what that says about you.
That's a chilling thought.
Yeah.
But you're right, it really makes you think. The show isn't afraid to make us uncomfortable by showing us our own potential for darkness.
Exactly. I think that willingness to explore the gray areas of morality is what makes Sweetpea more than just a typical thriller.
It's definitely a wild ride. And the way the show is structured with the tension and those oh my God
It
moments.
keeps you hooked for sure.
Like that scene in the first episode when, well, I don't want to spoil anything for our listeners, but let's just say Rhiannon doesn't mess around.
Yeah. She takes matters into her own hands, and that's just the beginning. The show gets more and more intense with each episode. New targets, higher stakes. We see Rhiannon get bolder, more ruthless, but also more vulnerable as her world starts to fall apart. It's crazy how the show makes you question who you should be rooting for. Like, one minute you think Rhiannon's gone too far, and then the next minute you see how vulnerable she is, and you almost feel bad for her.
Totally. Remember that episode, Everybody Loves Julia? Episode 4, I think?
Yeah.
She's about to get her revenge on Julia, and she hesitates.
Whoa, really?
It makes you wonder about everything that's driving her.
That's so interesting because that's where the show's look at female relationships gets really good. We can see how all that stuff with her mother, all that trauma, it's shaped how she sees other women, especially women she sees as competition.
And her whole thing with Julia is so complicated. It's like this mix of rivalry and resentment.
Maybe even some messed up kind of admiration. It's like they're two sides of the same coin, you know? both trapped by what society expects of them.
And they both just want to be validated.
The show uses their relationship to look at female competition and the pressure on women to fit into these specific boxes.
It's really well done. And we can't forget about Marina, the detective.
Oh, yeah. She's getting closer to figuring out the truth.
She adds a whole other layer of tension to the story.
I love how she's not just some boring antagonist. She's got her own issues, you know? She's a complex character trying to solve these increasingly bizarre crimes.
For sure. And then there's that crazy twist. In episode 5, someone's been a naughty girl.
Ooh, what happened? Remind me.
Rhiannon finds out that Marcus, Julia's fiancé, might be abusive.
Oh, yeah. What a game changer.
Talk about a blurred line between victim and abuser.
Right, like Rhiannon thinks she's getting justice.
But then she has to face the fact that she might be wrong about Julia.
That maybe her own biases have clouded her judgment.
It's a huge moral dilemma.
It makes you think, who really deserves to be punished here?
Can we even make that call when it's this complicated?
Exactly. And the show doesn't try to make it simple. It leans into the messiness, especially in those last few episodes.
Everything starts falling apart for Rhiannon.
The tension is unreal.
Like when Jeff, that coworker, finds out her secret and ends up dead.
Oh my God, so stressful.
It was an accident, but still.
It just shows how easily things can go wrong, especially when you're driven by revenge and hiding so much.
And who would have guessed that Julia would end up helping Rhiannon? It's kind of messed up, but seeing them team up to frame Marcus is so satisfying.
It's like the power of shared trauma brings them together, you know? They find comfort in each other, even though what they're doing is so wrong.
It's like they're playing this dark game, and they both want to win. But even though they're working together, you can tell it's not real. There's so much lying and manipulation going on.
Oh, absolutely. And it all comes crashing down in that last episode, Life 2.0. They finally make the police believe that Marcus was the kidnapper, but they're free. But it doesn't feel like a happy ending, does it?
Not at all. It's like they've escaped one bad situation, but they're trapped in another one, and then Julia just disappears.
Right. Leaves Rhiannon to deal with everything on her own.
You feel sorry for her, even though she's done such terrible things.
It really shows you how trauma never really goes away. She was trying to escape her past, but she ended up repeating the same patterns. Makes you wonder if it's even possible to break free.
And just when you think maybe, just maybe, Rhiannon might find some peace,
What happened?
that ending hits you.
It's a total gut punch.
AJ, the coworker, he figures everything out.
Oh, no.
And Rhiannon shows just how far she'll go to protect her secret.
I'm speechless just thinking about it.
That ending, wow, it sticks with you for a long time.
It really makes you think.
For me, that's what makes a great show. It starts these conversations.
It makes you question everything.
It makes you think about yourself and the choices you make when things get rough.
Exactly. Sweetpea isn't just some mindless thriller. It's like holding up a mirror to human nature. It makes you think about right and wrong and how much our pasts shape us.
It's a show that will stay with me for a long time, and I think anyone listening will feel the same way. If you want a show that will keep you on the edge of your seat, a show that will make you question everything you thought you knew,
A show that will leave you wanting more.
Sweetpea is it.
Just be ready to have your mind blown.
And your definition of a thriller completely changed. Until next time on Real Talk, keep it real, keep it insightful, and most importantly, keep watching.